Brendan Rodgers has left Celtic tonight. Martin O'Neill taking over on an interim basis. Martin joined White and Jordan earlier today and said Hearts are real contenders this season.
This is it, because Celtic are at this minute not that physically strong, can actually lose games, whereas before that they looked invincible in matches. Rangers are no threat whatsoever, although the new manager coming in, I think, like you, Jim, I think he maybe can do something in time. But they are so far adrift, it's untrue. But this is the moment, this is the time now for Hearts. They've gone 8 points clear at this minute. And that is a decent enough lead, really. And their confidence is growing, and it will grow from that victory as well too. So all the things are happening for Hearts. It's great. Whereas just at this minute, Celtic are just in a wee bit of trouble. Yeah. But I agree with you. This is the best time for any side outside the Old Firm to go and win.
A wee bit of trouble. Straight from talkSPORT Towers, straight in the dugout.
He'll be laughing at himself for saying that this morning.
Yeah, being on this morning, and then you've got the job at Celtic. He'll want to change his tune on Hearts winning the league, that's for sure. Martin O'Neill, I think he might still be coming on talkSPORT tomorrow to have a chat with Simon and Jim White. We'll see if that happens. But let's go to Kevin. He's a Celtic fan. All right, Kev?
Hi, Kev.
All right, guys, how are you doing?
All right, Kev.
Good.
This is a bit of a mess. What's going on up in Scotland?
I'm just, before I go into that, I take it Martin's phone must have rang as soon as he put his phone down after that. When I tweet some of the comments.
Yeah.
He's just said Rangers are nowhere near and we've got them on Sunday. That might come back to haunt him. On the Brendan Rodgers, I do agree with David Tanner. I'm surprised. However, I'm not surprised when it comes to Brendan, because Brendan's all about Brendan. And that's why I think he's done this, because the last time he was at the club, it was literally, it's probably a few months away from being the exact same timescale. I think he left us in the February the last time, albeit for a better offer, or what he's seen as a better offer.
Yeah.
But,
Kev, here's a question for you, To be fair to Brendan, right? Dean's probably right in what... And look, you know more than me, but it did seem to me that he weren't happy at the start of the season with being backed, getting players that he needs to strengthen the side. Yeah. He wants a better squad to compete. He said that at the start. He didn't get it, and the results have, have been what they've been. Look, he's walked away. He's resigned. Now, I don't know how that looks to everyone and how you feel about it, but no manager walks anymore, right? They get sacked because they want the big payoff. They get their payoff and they walk away with whatever was left on their deal, right? He's walked. So I'm guessing in my head, he ain't getting nothing. So in a way, you should be probably quite pleased, because you ain't happy with him anyway.
Yeah, I think his previous caller, I think it might have been David Tanner, or I've spoke to about 10 people in the past half an hour, to be honest, but I think there's a couple of things in that for me. Is one, the board are culpable here in the sense that they didn't back him in the transfer market, and that's a common opinion amongst the Celtic support. However, what also has been common amongst the Celtic support is that squad of players shouldn't be 8 points behind Hearts, and that's where it sits with Brendan, because we've got the biggest resource. We are probably the biggest club in the country. We shouldn't be getting beat at Dundee. We shouldn't be getting beat. Well, you could argue Hearts are playing well, but what part of that does he take? What bit it's his responsibility? Because the team look knackered. They look tired. They look no energy. There's no fight. There's no desire. We went 3-1 down against Hearts on Sunday with nearly most of the second half to play. There was no reaction. Some of his decisions, but the thing that will stick in Celtic fans' throats, there's a couple of things. When he came to the club, he said, "I'm here for 3 years and I'll not leave unless they ask me to leave." That was his press conference when he arrived. He was then asked about it when we won the league at Dundee United. He was asked on the pitch, live on Sky Sports, and he said 200% was his answer, 200%, I'll be here next season. And then even lately, when it's been getting tough, he actually said in a press conference a matter of weeks ago, "I've left before and we all see how that went. I'm not going anywhere." And then yesterday after the game, in his press conference, he said, "I've never been more motivated to turn it round." So what's changed in 24 hours?
Maybe he's been sacked. Maybe.
I think, me personally, I think Chris Boyd, that you all know, he made a comment. I don't listen to Chris Boyd too often, but he made a comment which is now coming home to roost. He done an interview last week or the week before, Brendan Rodgers, with an English media outlet, just talking about managing Celtic and all the rest of it. And Chris Boyd actually said, is that him now putting himself back on the radar? Because you know how when managers get sacked and they start to appear on Sky and stuff, and before you know it, they're in a job. Yeah, and but
it's funny because me and Dino have been on here for years and we ain't had a job. What's going on, Dino?
I've not applied for one.
I also, just on the point that you made at the start, Dean, and I totally agree with it. I just said to my mate before I come on, if you were to pick somebody right now to come in the circumstances we were in, Martin O'Neill was the perfect guy. I know he's 73, right, but Roy Hodgson was a good age and done really, really well at Crystal Palace. He's got bags of experience. He knows the club inside out. He knows what the game on Sunday means. Yeah. So I don't think there's a better candidate short term.
Yeah.
Longer term. Do you know what I think he'll do? Knowing him, and I've sat with him and talked about football. With John Hartson's charity golf day. Martin always turns up every year and we have a chat and some food. If you think about the teams he's managed in the past, he's always had big, strong centre-backs. You know, you think that Celtic team that he had, you know, you had the strikers were all massive. Artson, Sutton, 6'4". You had Bobo Baldi at the back. Who's the big Scandinavian blonde Viking you had at the back? He's 6'5". But the whole team, you know, Petrov, they're all... So there's no way, talking to him, he'd say, there's no way, most teams throw everything at you in Scotland. They try bullying you to start with.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing you got to combat. Once you combat that, then you get the ball down and start outplaying them.
Yeah.
But you've got to have a physical, strong team to be able to cope with what teams throw at you. You're not getting bullied by anyone. I think that's what he'll do. He'll make Celtic a bit stronger, a bit more solid. They might not play as many passes to each other. He might get the ball forward a bit quicker, and he'll make them strong again.
Kev, here's a question for you. Big Ange is available.
I was just talking to somebody there before I come on. The Ange chat's gathering a wee bit of momentum, but I don't know what your view is on it. I think Ange looks broken. I think Ange needs a rest. I think the guy's took an absolute down. I think, yeah, obviously one you
might be a breath of fresh air though in going back there. No,
I was delighted for him. I would take him, Jamie, because of his style and how we played under him. Again, though, just how the squad's sort of been dismantled since he left. I don't know if we'll get the players to play the way he wants, but I don't think Ange will be... I would take Ange, but I would rather do something different. I think Ange just took it. I think he's beaten up at the moment. I think the guy needs a rest, particularly after what happened at Forest. But that's the only other thing I would say about Martin O'Neill. To Dean's point, that team he had in the early 2000s was very, very strong. We don't have that makeup of players in the current Celtic squad. I think what he will do is he'll motivate them. He'll maybe give them a bit of energy, but yeah, it's going to be a long, hard season, I feel.
All right.